Hello and welcome to the studio again. I want to share with you a project I'm working on. I'm doing a little test on some barn wood, and I'll move my face out of the way so you can see. We have a little piece of barn wood that I have plenty of in my garage, and I took a side grinder with a sanding wheel on it and smoothed out the surface where I have put some beeswax, applied the beeswax, and then I did put a template down of a barn, of all things. How funny is that? A barn on the barn wood. Anyhow, I've already cut all the paper. I didn't want to make a long video, just something short. And I've pretty much got it burnished in. And so now I'm going to do some sanding. And I won't record all that. I just want to jump on here and tell you what I'm up to, and then I'll get this sanding done. I guess I could, it's just so loud, ain't it? I'm going to do some of it here. And I want to show you the reveal, and part of the reason I wanted to share this is because I don't have a clue. I have done this on barnwood, but it's been, gosh, 10 years ago. And I remember the results not working out that great, so I haven't done it since. But I recently have an opportunity to do something on barnwood for a local organization, and so before I use the pieces of wood that they have, I wanted to test it on some of my wood and make sure it's going to work. If not, I'll come up with some other way of using theirs for something creative. And I've probably mentioned this before if you've watched my other videos. The darker the background, the less likely your colors will show in your transfer. The reason is you're not putting, that ink transfer is not a solid color on top, even though it looks like it on that white magazine paper. It's actually translucent. So if you look at one of my paintings up close, if there's a grain, the wood grain showing through the ink, you can see it if you look closely. Now, it's not always obvious, and it depends on the colors too. And we'll see here in a little bit how true that is. Alright, I'll be back when this thing is sanded. Okay, voila. We are sanded and ready for the application of water. And the water, of course, is going to soak into the paper, which will allow me to move it around and remove it from the ink. And the ink will be stuck to the beeswax on top of the barnwood. Forgot what I was going to say. So my hope is this turns out to be a cool piece of art, but I went in knowing that there's a chance that I've wasted my time, and I just learned a lesson of what not to do on top of barnwood. So I played with different colors, a lot of red on the barn, reds and browns of course, and then over here in the background of the sky it's kind of more of a yellowish tone, not really yellow but a light brown. And then the roof has some grays. I didn't do any white. I kind of have an idea what that's going to look like because it's going to be translucent. The board will show through the white more, of course. But I'll get a good idea with this sky because it's a really light yellowish brown color. So it'll be similar to what a white would look like. And like I said, my main goal here is to see how these colors transfer. So I'll know if I do this other piece, what colors to use, what not to use. And it looks like, well, I may have to adjust the lighting for you. I know I always get a reflection with the camera. But it's looking like I did a really good job of having a variety of dark and light, especially on a dark piece of wood like this. That's important so you can see the different areas of the composition. You at least get an outline of the shape. So yeah, this kind of reminds me of the couple pieces I did years ago. Just a bit darker than my normal stuff. You know, another option would be I could sand it down just like I did and then put some chalk paint or milk paint on the wood before I put the beeswax down. That'll lighten the background. The problem with that is this, the areas where you don't have the milk paint, what's that going to look like up against the wood that's exposed? Because I do want this kind of border exposed of the real wood. And here soon I'll reveal what this project is in relation to. Kind of, I'm not keeping it secret, but I just want to make sure that it's going to happen before I share too much. As you can see, the red is working well. Let me turn this light down. Maybe that'll help. There we go. So we're not too bad. And I'm afraid the carving into is not going to lighten it up like it does on some paintings I do. But we're going to see. I am kind of happy with how the colors transferred. Not quite as vibrant as I like, but it's there. The text in the magazine pages is showing up really well. Yeah, even the lighter areas in that black are kind of got a little pop to them. So yeah, I'll call this a successful piece. You know, my worry was this would be pretty crappy looking and I'd just end up scraping it off and doing something different, but I think this is a very interesting piece, especially being on barnwood. If I could only remember what barn this came out of. I've helped demolish a couple and save the wood. Yeah. I wonder. So I'm going to hold this up so maybe you can get a better look at it. So I'm going to make myself a little bigger on here. See if you can get it better. Oh, that's not better, is it? It's dark. We're going to turn some lights on it. Yeah, it's a gloomy day today. I'm not getting a lot of good outside light. So, and the other lights in my studio are just so dang dark, or so bright. They just glare. There you go. You can see some of it. Terrible video. Terrible. Oh well. You got to see it come to life. Gosh, yeah, I think on the table it's a better view than when I was holding it up. So it's getting a little dingy looking. I'm thinking once I hit it with the heat gun, carve in the details, and then put the sealer on it, it gets a little shine to it. I think that would be really, I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I will do a satin or a flat stain or a little bit of a gloss. Sometimes a gloss will be nice, contrast up against the dullness of the wood on the outside. So let me do some heating and I'll be back. Okay. That boy's hot. You can usually tell how warm it is by the beeswax. As the hotter it gets, it seems to show this more amber, not amber, but just it's less translucent. You can't see through it, but as it cools, it seems to be very translucent. And to see it's cooling, I'm starting to see the grain of the wood a little bit better. So I'm gonna let it cool for just a second. Take a drink of coffee. Be ready to carve a little bit and see if some highlights with the carving help. So far, like I say, I'm pretty happy with it. The reds I used, I tried a different variety just because first, kind of like that in the barn, but also wanted to see which ones worked best. And it looks like I could have went really light on the reds. Some of my favorites are these really vibrant reds. I'm glad I kind of spaced those out. I tend to do that when I'm working with a color. I don't like to put a bunch of the same from the same page in one area. I like to kind of sporadically space them out. Just it makes for a more interesting composition, and plus if you only have a few pieces of one and you got 10 of another, it just makes it more even. Looks more better. Yeah, I don't know, this carving, I'm just gonna do a little bit, hope for the best. I'm not expecting it to make a huge difference, although it might. I think around these areas like the doorways, it may be most important. Then maybe carving in the areas where the boards come together, but not all of them. It's funny, this is a barn I took a picture of, gosh, a long time ago, and I've been wanting to do this painting. Just never had the right piece of wood or the right reason to go ahead and do it. So, here we are doing it now. Yeah, we're good. Decent look. This dark is really hard to see on my end too. I can't look at it without a glare. It'll have its own unique feel, that's for sure. I'm gonna mimic some of the lines of the roof. Yeah, and I noticed the grays I used up against the yellowish browns of the sky. Those just kind of look the same just because they were really light and the board is so dark. Didn't change that look very much. So, oh well. Let's get a few boards. Yeah, I can't wait to see this with a sealer on it. Notice I'm not using a ruler, and that's because I want it to look like an old barn. Those boards on old barns are never straight. They're a little wonky. Get some good overlaps. Some shadows. Here I said I wasn't going to do all the boards, and I'm pretty much carving into all the boards. I'm liking the way it looks, I guess is why. And yeah, you're starting to see, especially the way the light hits those lines I'm carving, it's making enough of a difference where I think they're worth putting in. I was worried that I'd be wasting my time, but I feel like it's adding a much needed element. Notice some of my paintings I just kind of scribble into the background in some areas, and some I make it more perfect. As I've said, variety is good. I'll leave the sky alone. I'm pretty happy with what we have going here. Mimic some of those straight lines. Okay. See if my initials show up in this corner. Might be able to see this. Oh, they don't show up very well. That's alright. Always put my RLP. And there we have it. Little barn painting. And boom. Thanks for watching. We'll just call it done. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and send me some comments. I know my videos probably aren't the best you've seen, but it's the most it's a unique process, and I'll keep sharing until I get better at videos. Thanks for watching.